Hi, everybody, and welcome to today's conversation on bio-based products and the future of them. And we appreciate everybody taking a little bit of time out of their day to join us for this conversation, and looking forward to hearing from the experts we're about to bring onto the call here to discuss the bio-based products, as well as what that might mean for soybean farmers across the country. Again, topic today: why bio-based products are a hot topic for today. I do want to get into some logistics before we get going. I will read some biographies for our speakers. Those are going to be a little bit more abbreviated than the full biographies that you can find on our website. Would also encourage some interaction from all of you as you tune into this conversation. But a quick note on how to do that. You're best going to reach us by using the Q&A portion at the bottom of your Zoom window rather than the chat option. Again, Q&A, not the chat. The technical issues that you might encounter during this program, the Q&A spot is the right window for those as well. Somebody from our team will do their best to help you if you submit your issue kind of as a question to our panel. I do want to also just give you a heads up that we are actually recording this webinar, and a recording of it will be available soon on Agri-Pulse.com. If you would like to watch it again or share with a friend or colleague, we would encourage you to do so. Before we get going, I do want to thank our sponsors: the United Soybean Board, the Soy Checkoff, and the American Soybean Association. And so, folks, without any further ado, I'm going to go ahead and introduce our speakers for today's event, starting with Karen Coble-Edwards, the founder of KCE Public Affairs Associates. It's a firm that has served the United Soybean Board and the American Soybean Association for 2 decades. The team focuses on driving demand and developing strategic partnerships for soy industrial uses, often connecting groups such as the American Lung Association and major city sustainability initiatives to the work of U.S. soybean farmers. She currently serves as a senior advisor to the American Soybean Association's World Initiative for Soy and Human Health, a food security as well as agricultural trade developing initiative. But the first speaker that we're going to be bringing in here is Belinda Burrier. She is a farmer, and this is actually her 8th year serving as a director on the United Soybean Board. She currently serves on the board's executive committee as a chair of the Communication and Education Committee. She was also elected the first female chair of the Maryland Soybean Board in the fall of 2020. Burrier and her husband, David, received ASA's Northeast Region Conservation Legacy Award in 2018. So without any further ado, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Belinda, who will also be incorporating Karen into her presentation. Really looking forward to hearing from the both of you.
Good morning or good afternoon, depending on where you are. I'm out on the road. So I just wanted to let you know, as part of a USB director, that USB has invested in research that contributes to the manufacture of many U.S. soy products available to consumers, as well as big cities and rural communities. So the picture that you're looking at right there is at my farm. We hosted fleet managers and Washington, D.C. delegates and Smithsonian Institution representatives that came out to the farm to see exactly what all we do use on the farm as far as soy-based products. So I'm just going to hit on that we use soy biodiesel in all of our equipment, all of our diesel equipment. We have soy-based concrete sealer used under the grain system, which you can just barely see the edge of the system there in the photo that we're sharing. And behind me are the high oleic soybeans that were planted. They're full season beans. And as you can see, I have some animals out there. So animal ag is our #1 user of the soy that we produce. And so I also wanted the guests to see that we used, yes, the biodiesel there is in all of the equipment. That it actually helps us to reduce the greenhouse gas emissions that our equipment has. It helps our equipment to burn with a better lubricity to the engine, which also increases the length and how long we can use our equipment. And one of the reasons why I like it is it doesn't smoke. And see, most of our equipment is old tractors, and when I'm out there in the field baling, whether it's baling hay or whatever I'm doing, I don't like it smoking back in my face. So this is a really good product to be burning into our diesel fuel. And so the fleet managers that were in attendance, we also were lower greenhouse gas emissions and no to low smoke emissions coming from their tailpipes. It's actually been better. A lot of the local farmers near us use it in their school buses. So it's kind of nice to know that your children aren't breathing in all this smoke. So we'll go to the next one, and I'm showing that we had just used the concrete pore shield on the concrete, and so it helps us to reduce cracks in the concrete. It preserves your concrete around your systems, and it can be used for sidewalks, roads, pavilions, tons of other applications. And so some of the other things that I was highlighting on this day that we had the Washington, D.C. folks were the hydraulic fluids as far as lubricants that are used in oil and cleaning products. Oh geez, there's just so many products out there. And at the end, I'm hoping that we can refer you to unitedsoybean.org or ussoy.org to look at all the different products that we use. And let's see, I think I'd like to throw it on over to Karen Edwards and let her continue on with the conversation.
Thanks, Belinda. I can't say enough about what Belinda has done with our local partners here in Washington, D.C. area. It's great to know that the District of Columbia is one of the flagship cities in the nation that is not only using B100 in some of their equipment, but also transitioning to a wide array of the bio-based products. Smithsonian Institution has been great. So what I would like to do in my part of the presentation is to give you a little bit of the history and share some real examples. I'm actually surrounded with a lot of products here, including Okabashi shoes that are made with soy in Georgia. Not many shoe manufacturers left in this country, but it's part of the exciting present day opportunities for biomanufacturing. I think your topic, your headline for today's session was why, bio-based products are a hot topic today. Certainly the White House's announcement that with the new executive order that just came out is furthering the momentum that we're all working toward in this industry right now. It's also the 20th anniversary of the USDA BioPreferred program. United Soybean Board actually hired me around the time that the 2002 Farm Bill was created. That was the first Farm Bill to ever contain an energy title. And I remember, it was bipartisan with Senators Richard Lugar and Senator Tom Harkin. Senator Harkin said, I look across the fields of Iowa and I see the oil fields of the future. And 20 years later, we're here. And we've got more opportunities than ever. And the soy checkoff has been working behind on a lot of that. But just to start with this slide, just to share, there's a long history of biomanufacturing in this country. And it goes back to that amazing gentleman on the left in that picture, Dr. George Washington Carver. This was part of his vision, and he and Henry Ford actually collaborated. Henry Ford believed that he could someday grow a car. Henry Ford literally paid many soybean farmers to grow soybeans, and there is still a lab today at Deerfield Village that showcases his soy innovation work in the building. And United Soybean Board has collaborated in the past with Ford, and as a result of that cooperation, Ford vehicles made in North America, you now sit in the soy in the seat cushions and the headliners and in gaskets and more. So there's a history here, but I think it's important to note that the future is bright. And the USDA Rural Development Program joined us last year in having, they were with us in New York at the Farmers on the Green event that we hosted at the Harlem Boys and Girls Club, where they rolled out a new economic study talking about the 4.6 million jobs that bio-based manufacturing offers currently, and adding $470 billion to the economy. And it's pretty exciting for the U.S. soy industry to be a part of that. I'm going to try to move on to the next slide, but it's not going for me. So could somebody on the team help me with the next slide? This is a great example of what we want to see in our work at the Soybean Board. USB is not only helping develop products, but helping drive demand for them. And so what you see is beautiful Badlands National Park. What a great place to use the benefits of a bio-based material. What they're doing there is actually occurred last week. Badlands, as part of a demonstration, is working with a product that the United Soybean Board and Iowa soybean growers have invested in. It's called BioMag. It was developed at Iowa State, and now it's being offered by a company, Color Biotics. And so they were out there putting it down. They're also going to be putting down a second product. We're very excited about this, that USB was able to connect the dots to get the Park Service to do this demonstration, because, you know, our experience, my personal experience has been, just because you build a bio-based product doesn't mean that somebody's going to buy it. There's a lot of work that has to be done on the demand pull strategy. So if we could go to the next slide, I'll show you what's going to go out at Badland Parks next. This is United Soybean Board Director Philip Good, right there in the middle, standing at Mississippi State University. This is a product made by a company in Ohio. USB invested in the initial research, and now this product is being used for what they're calling asphalt art projects. The Bloomberg Foundation is actually supporting efforts, and Mississippi State has a small town center that is actually, they chose to use this product. Staff there talked about how it was better for the environment, as well as everybody who was putting it down. And so we're excited that Mississippi State Small Town Center is actually now also considering additional soy bio-based products, including some I'm going to talk about today. But we're excited that that National Park Service facility at Badlands, that amphitheater parking lot, will be the next place. That's the next product that they're going to try. Again, it's an American-made product with agricultural soy inside, and it has sustainability benefits for those who use it. So next slide. This is a product. This is called Pore Shield. Indiana Soybean Alliance and Purdue University actually developed this product because the Indiana Department of Transportation said, we need our concrete road assets to last longer. And Purdue and Indiana Soy worked together and created what is now called Pore Shield. And so this is extending the life of concrete highways by filling in those gaps with a soy bio-based material. We're excited that Washington, D.C. is now trying these products. New York is now trying this product. And as Belinda showed you, farmers can use it. Belinda put it down around the grain legs, but other farmers are putting it in hog barns. If you think about the environmental impact of concrete, this is a real opportunity to extend the life. And it's one of those products where, you know, we need people to think about the long-term lasting environmental benefits of the product and how it makes your highways last longer. So it's a good investment up front. Next slide. But a lot of infrastructure projects of interest, and you can use this a soy-based insulation. It has been sprayed underneath bridges to keep them from freezing so quickly. And I'll show you another example, because this product is going in a lot of buildings, as well as hog and chicken barns, helping them be more energy efficient, but it's also manufactured with US soybean oil. Next slide. A lot of people wouldn't think about this, but we just had a group of farmers with us out in California where, you know, the drought is so harsh on the water issues, and people are transitioning to all kinds of soy-backed grass applications literally around the world. This product is made by Sinlon. They're headquartered, their US operations are in Georgia. They built a new factory 4 years ago, and we're excited to say that that factory is at capacity. They're exporting to at least 19 different countries, all made there in Georgia, but they're being used in a lot of applications. They're not trying to change natural settings, but they are making these installations like road medians be safer. They don't have to be mowed. And as I'll share in a couple more slides, there's some other environmental benefits, and this product will last for years. Next slide. On the left is NASA Kennedy Space Center. They have this product where they have large crowds gathering for the rocket launches. They put their logo in it to brand it, but it's also an example of the grass just couldn't withstand the demand of so many people tromping on it. I understand that it's also at the beer gardens. A lot of people probably from the Washington, D.C. area, the beer gardens at Washington National Park have this product, but so too on the right-hand corner, our children at the Harlem Boys and Girls Club in New York City. Sinlon has done a lot of work in New York schools, Central Park playgrounds, and they asked us to join them and do an educational event for the kids there in New York. We hosted the Farmers on the Green. It was really exciting to partner with the local FFA chapter. A lot of those FFA kids had not been on a farm. So it was a wonderful day of seeing how bio-based benefits rural America as well as urban spaces, because what folks are standing on there was a concrete slab, and it's COVID, and people are have no place for the kids to play, and now they do as a result of this great installation. So next slide. This is Rooftop Reds. It's actually an urban vineyard in a economic development area in the old Brooklyn Navy Yards of New York City. And it's where New Yorkers go to do yoga and have picnics and more up there. And the reason I included the picture on the right is because one of our past United Soybean Board chairs, Greg Anderson, was in New York, and he got to see a lot of these installations. And, you know, he went back to Nebraska and he said, you know, I've been farming for decades, but I've never had a green front lawn. And so this is a picture of Greg with his dog from last December. And he said it was the first time he had had a green lawn because his front lawn required a lot of weeding, watering, fertilizer, and pesticides, as well as it was south facing and downward sloping. So there's a lot of new uses, and this is an example of a product that has greatly participated in the USDA BioPreferred program. Their trucks in New York actually have soybeans on the side as they deliver those products. So we're excited when the bio-based manufacturers partner with U.S. soybean farmers to also tell that story. And one of the farmers that was with us, Robert Petter from Arkansas, just got some of this product and put it in his combine. So we now got our first example of combine carpet. Next slide. This is back to New York, where there's a lot of the bio-based products going in. This is Hudson Yards. And those towers have been insulated with a soy-based insulation available from Huntsman Building Solutions. And so it's just another example of the many different applications. Next slide. This is Gary Wheeler from the Missouri Soybean Board, and Gary is in their office. It's really interesting. They have developed a new education center that also serves as their office space. But of course, they wanted to walk the walk and talk the talk. And so they used a variety of soy bio-based products, ranging from these formaldehyde-free plywood. Soy protein is being used to create an adhesive. There's an interesting story that was actually developed through biomimicry. There were researchers looking at how mussels adhere to the rocks in the ocean and what is it that gives them that strength. And they did their analysis and saw that it was protein. They were able to then take soy protein and use it to create the adhesive properties. So Columbia Forest Products is using this in millions of panels of plywood. That adhesive properties are also used by companies like Sport Group to put their products down, but also there's a new company in Kentucky, Hempwood. They're making wood flooring that can also benefit from this kind of technology. And the soybean board partners with companies as well as academic researchers, and some folks at USDA too are involved in some of that adhesive research. Next slide. This is a really exciting partnership that goes back to 2011. USB collaborated with Goodyear Tire and Rubber Company to see if they could displace the petroleum in Goodyear tires. And the answer is a big win, because Goodyear then won the International Tire Award for Environment. As a result of that collaboration, Goodyear now displaces 60% of the petroleum in the tire, which is 100% of the petroleum in the tread, in 7 different lines of their tires. And USB continues to work with Goodyear on additional research to make tires more sustainable. And we've been super excited, next slide, about the response to this. For those of you who are based here in Washington, D.C. area too, Washington, D.C. has embraced those tires. We are super at the District of Columbia level, as has Seattle, New York City, Madison, Wisconsin. And they're telling us that these tires perform better as well as fit with their sustainability plans. We were just rolling out this collaboration with fleets in California. And we all know California has a very high bar. And we were just thrilled at the response that some California fleet leaders in the Los Angeles area had about the fact that this could help them with their sustainability goals too. So I think, letting U.S. soybean farmers be part of the solution fits very well with USB's vision for delivering sustainable soy for every life, every day. And we were excited to partner with Pam Conde there on the right. She's a local tire dealer, and we've had to work. Our team has worked very hard in a lot of the cities to help connect the supply chain here in Washington, D.C. Parts Authority has been a great partner in making the products available too. So there's a lot of supply chain work that has to go together before the products actually get demand. So next slide. And this is another success of the Goodyear partnership with USB. That technology is now available on Skechers shoes. And we're excited to see when these technology platforms go to additional uses for the farmers. Next slide. And this is an example of Moline, Illinois. One of our team was actually working with them. There's a lot of cleaning products that can be used by facilities, as well as here in our own homes. And I'll just share the example that in my own home, I try to walk the walk and talk the talk. I'm actually surrounded by a variety of bio-based products. These are the Okabashi sandals that are made in Georgia. Ohio Soybean worked with DeWalt. They've got a bar and chain oil, but there's also cleansers made with the bio-based materials. So they're readily available. But I would just share that we all have to ask for them. I had to have the kids' bathroom renovated, and I absolutely wanted to have the formaldehyde-free plywood. But I had 4 different contractors tell me there's no such thing as formaldehyde in plywood. So it wasn't until I said, you know what? If you want my business, you will learn that there is formaldehyde in plywood, and you will give me the choice. And so that's why I have cabinets from this. I also use, I have bio-based detergents and cleaning products in my own home. It's very easy to order them directly. But they're also available at the commercial scale, as you see on that cart there in the picture. Next slide. And farmers are benefiting too from this bio-based innovation. USB partnered with a company in Iowa called Low Mu Tech, and that is a seed. It goes in the planter box to make the seeds flow through the planter box when you're farming, and it displaces graphite and talc. So that's USB Director Corey Atkins from Delaware, who's got the product you see. It's made with soy protein in his hand. And what is displacing is the graphite, the black product there on the right. And farmers are saying that they prefer not having that graphite on their hands and in their equipment and on their farms. Next slide. This is an exciting news. Agri-Pulse, we are excited to announce today that the United Soybean Board has completed a new resource that has never been available before, the Bio-Based Academy. USB has partnered with the American Lung Association, and this is a unprecedented training material that is now available in a module online with Teachable for fleets to train their staff on the bio-based product options for fleets. We're looking forward to building another academy for facilities. You'll find a lot of soy bio-based products that are also in the USDA rural or USDA Bio Preferred program in that. But here in Washington, D.C., the head of the fleet, Tim Fitzgerald, has, if you want to move to the next slide, Tim was at the District of Columbia Water Authority. We're excited, Tim is now over the entire district, the DC Public Works Department, and he was one of the reviewers of it. And Tim is already getting his staff ready to be trained on this so that they can understand the worker health benefits as well as the bio-based options available to them. So we see this as an unprecedented training tool to take fleets to the next step. And Tim provides the example that he plans on using the fact that he's gotten his team certified through the American Lung Association. He's going to put that on his grant proposals to show that he is committed to sustainability and worker health for his staff. Next slide. But we're also excited that the Port Authority of New York, as well as New York City staff, joined us in reviewing these materials, and they're now excited to bring them on. Both the Port Authority and New York City are using multiple bio-based materials. They were some of the first in the nation to put the new soy tires to the test, and we're delighted to say that they continue to roll with them. And the next slide is Mahanth Joshi. Mahanth is just a real pioneer for bio-based in the Midwest, and we are super excited that Mahanth is one of our bio ambassadors through a USB program. And you see he is increasing his blend levels of biodiesel, but he's also transitioning to over 1,000 different soybean-based tires, and he's working on getting additional bio-based products used in their fleet there in Madison. And he's excited to tell other fleets about it. Next slide. And we also want to announce that my colleagues Charlie Townsend and Catherine Lucas have launched Clean Conversations as a podcast. And so if you're interested in learning more about the bio-based work, please follow this. And a lot of this is also designed to bring folks together with the next generation. And every episode will feature where the jobs are in bio-based, and we're excited that we expect a lot of young people will be already asking questions about this podcast. And that concludes my remarks, and happy to entertain questions.
Very good. Well, I'm looking forward to posing some questions, Karen, both you and Belinda. But before I do that, I do want to remind our audience that this is meant to be an interactive webinar. Would love to hear from you and hear your thoughts and questions for these great panelists. Just as a reminder, please pose those questions through the Q&A function of the Zoom window rather than the chat. The Q&A will get them to me and my team here that is working to manage this webinar. But I'm going to take moderator's prerogative and go ahead and pose the first couple of questions, because Karen, I want to follow up on the Lung Association announcement that you mentioned at the tail end of your presentation. Wondering, that is the potential to be pretty astronomical, I would assume. What ultimately does the Soy Checkoff, does ASA, does the American Lung Association hope will be the ultimate outcome of that partnership?
Great question, and it goes back to, just because you build a bio-based product, it doesn't mean there's no field of dreams, and you need to create a ramp for people to actually use products. And in fact, it's discouraging to bio-based manufacturers when people don't choose their product after they've spent a lot of money doing R&D, and actually to transition fleets and facilities to the products. I mean, it's a huge commitment. The folks at the National Park Service out there at Badlands, they're going to be doing monitoring and evaluation on the performance of these products. The Port Authority of New York and New Jersey, they were they were very eager to try the soy tires, but they had to set up an entire evaluation process. So what we hope this will do is help people get their staff on board and help them recognize the benefits, because at the end of the day, you've got to have personal commitment, because changing your products, and the federal government is a great example. There are people that procurement is their job. I know USDA Rural Development has done a lot of procurement training, but you have to have people realize that it's going to take some additional time to switch away from the older traditional products and start using the bio-based products. And that's going to create the demand pull for the manufacturers and for the farmers, and create the jobs that we all need.
Mm-hmm. Well, and Karen, I'll stick with you, but Belinda, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this when Karen wraps up. But there's a lot of partnerships that you talked about in your presentation, a lot of different products and a lot of different handshakes that had to be made to get those products to market, to go through the R&D process, a lot of different things. When you approach a new partner, be it a private sector partner like Goodyear or Skechers, maybe a public sector partner like the fleets of New York or Washington, as you mentioned here, what are the initial conversations like? What are the initial reactions to folks saying that, you walking in the door and saying, hey, you see that big problem that you've got, I can solve it with a soybean? What are those initial conversations like?
Belinda?
Well, United Soybean Board gets with a whole bunch of, for instance, Goodyear tire, they had to go in with the concept and try to convince them that, hey, we can displace the petroleum use in your Goodyear tires and the soles of your tennis shoes, and it takes a little convincing sometimes, and you got to show the big picture, and just because we present the idea, we also got to show them that this is a sustainable and a regenerative project that it can go on forever, because we grow that product every year. It's a brand new product hitting the market. So this is, we have some great partnerships.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and on that note, that's part of the reason why we asked the folks from the District of Columbia to go to Belinda's farm. They had started this transition to all these bio-based products, but we needed for them to see that if you choose US soy in your in the products that you use, you have a sustainable choice. I mean, Belinda showed them the field where she had planted her cover crops with a drone for the first time. They saw innovation. They saw, Belinda's farm. You tell them about the water coming off the farm. I mean, they loved that story.
Well, because we kind of lead the curve on innovation, and we had a conversation with Chesapeake Bay Water Foundation, and there was a discrepancy that all farmers are polluting the water as it goes on out through the system and finally into the Chesapeake Bay. So we challenged them, and we did water tests at our farm for over a year, monthly, and we actually had a hurricane event, and we had animals on our pasture. So we had them test the water before it came onto the farm and then as it left the farm. And what they saw in that entire year is that the water was leaving the farm cleaner than when it came on. So that's some of the conservation work that we do. We do tons of conservation work, and it was great to get the DC folks out there, and the state and the district of different fleet managers and such, and had them be able to see our actual practices in use. And what was very nice about it is that I could explain it one-on-one with the exact what all goes into through to harvest into consumers' hands.
Very good. So obviously a number of different partnerships at play there. And Belinda, refresh my memory. How I know you're close to the nation's capital where you farm. About how far is the drive if you don't hit any traffic?
The traffic is about an hour. We're an hour north of Washington, D.C., 53 miles.
Okay, very good. So very, very close to the nation's capital then, and I can actually attest to the fact that I happen to live on Capitol Hill and have been walking to work several times and looked up and saw a garbage truck with bio-based branding on it. And so the fleet of DC not only taking these products, but also advocating their use through that branding as well. But Karen, we talked a little bit about the visits to Belinda's farm, but these are, I can't imagine these are easy partnerships and easy conversions to make necessarily, changing really kind of long-standing values and traditions that folks have with the products that they've been using. They see them as tried and true. What is the kind of the sales pitch on the alternatives that you present?
Great question, Spencer. And obviously the United Soybean Board doesn't sell anything, we don't sell the products. But because the farmers have invested in the products and in the relationship building, like the work that my team does for the farmers, we go in and we build that relationship based on what I like to look at it as a Venn diagram, and what are their problems. And we probably, with over 1,000 different soy bio-based products available, we've probably got something that will help them with the problems that they're trying to tackle. And when we use that, we don't sell products, but we do deliver sustainable solutions. And I can't say enough about having the farmers involved in the team. April Hemis is a USB director from Iowa. She flew with us to California, and they just loved having a real farmer explain to them what they're doing and how it provides benefits in these products that the companies make available. But we have to spend a lot of time helping connect the supply chains. And I won't name which product, but once we were in New York and we got a major presentation in front of New York City, and then New York went to their local supplier and was told there is no such thing with soy. And we helped pull that supply chain together, and now it's working beautifully.
Very
but
good.
It does take a lot of work.
Of course, yes. And I do want to note to everyone, we still do have Belinda. She's still with us, just interacting with some rural broadband issues, which is a separate conversation that we can have a lot of discussion about. We still have her. She's still on audio. We are just turning off her video to kind of preserve her connection so she can still join us. But before I turn it over to some audience questions that are coming in, and would again encourage all of you to continue submitting questions through the Q&A function rather than the chat box here, I do want to bring up the executive order from the White House and the Biden administration. And really, Karen and Belinda, would like to hear you both kind of speak to what you think the potential of that executive order is for the soy industry, and what you hope will eventually be the outcomes that will be achieved from that executive order. Karen, we'll start with you.
Well, certainly it affirms the importance of the industry, and I think it affirms the importance of the USDA BioPreferred program, and how, there also came out in September a new Congressional Research Service report that, obviously USB does not lobby, but this is a great resource to have, because it also talks about in that Congressional Research Service report, it's talking about what there are at least 60 other countries looking at bio-based as an initiative. And so this is a real opportunity for the United States to be a global leader in biomanufacturing. We have the amazing assets of companies that are involved in this already, and academics who are doing amazing research. So, the more recognition bio-based gets, because the reality is in most of our conversations, it starts with, I had no idea. People have no idea that these products are available now. And so any affirmation you can get on that is a great thing.
Very good. Belinda, your thoughts on, as a soybean farmer, about what an administrative level commitments to bio-based manufacturing means for again, you as a soybean farmer?
I see it as a win-win for the U.S. farmer. It creates more demand as far as it goes. We're up for the challenges as far as any kind of creation on sustainable products. I mean, the U.S. farmer has, I think we have the market on doing some quality supplies here, and being locally generated. Yeah, it's a good thing.
Very good. Well, Belinda, I want to go to some audience questions, and I want to direct one toward you, because there's David Murray submitted the question asking, how many years will it take before demand for non-food and industrial uses of soybeans overtakes food demand? And I don't want to maybe pose that specific question, but just generally speaking, if this bio-preferred, bio-based manufacturing could go in a lot of different directions, wondering, can soybean farmers grow the beans to make it all happen and still maintain some of the existing customers that are so important to the soy industry, livestock, biodiesel, and the like?
I do believe the U.S. farmer can meet the demand for the soy. It's not either or, it's and I think that we can keep everybody supplied, and the more the demand is created, the more the U.S. farmer is going to want to go ahead and make sure that supply is there. We don't want anybody to go anywhere else looking around for it. Let's keep it here in the U.S.
Very good. Karen, there's been several questions submitted, and I know I'm about to ask you a question that's going to be probably tough to answer given the amount of products that we're discussing, but some questions related to the shelf life of some of these bio-based products compared to their more conventional counterparts. How at this point, I know, like I said, we're talking about a lot of different products, but how do the soy-based products compare?
Oh, that's a great question. And actually, I like to say we have to have a capstone on the products, because you're trying to convince people to switch. And I call the C is cost, the A is availability, and the P stands for performance. And the products have to perform as well or better than the competition. And so the companies, and this is part of why you need incentives to encourage biomanufacturing, whether it's a partnership with USB or what, because the companies have to prove the products perform as well or better. And then we have to go through this demonstration process. So, I'm really looking forward to, for example, the Department of Defense has done some great evaluations on multiple bio-based products, and they're working on a report right now about the Goodyear tires based on DOD and FBI. Given how well the tires have performed in New York City, I had no idea how much demand law enforcement puts on their tires. They are really rough on tires, and these tires are getting rave reviews from law enforcement uses. So, but the performance issue, when we're working with a new product, it's got to perform as well or better, or it hurts our opportunities to get even more products used by that institution.
Yeah, I suppose folks want a reliable product, especially if they're going to be investing in that kind of a change. And another question relates to the cost. I mean, you mentioned cost a little bit in your response there, but are these products, are these alternatives that we're looking at now, are they cost competitive with their conventional counterparts?
Yeah, that's a great question. It is a little hard, because there are so many different products. But I will say, having worked in this space for 20 years, one of the mindsets that we have to get people to switch from, whether it's no matter who the potential user is, we have to look at products for their life cycle. Is this product, if I put it down, is it going to mean that I don't have to redo my roof? Or does it mean that that road is going to last longer? That's a good investment of taxpayer dollars and in my own home. But budgets are often based on, this is what I have now. So trying something new, even if it lasts longer, is often difficult for people. And so we do need to find more ways to get people to look the long view on some of the products.
Very good. Another point that was raised both in questions and in some conversations in advance of this call, and Karen, I'm hoping this is maybe less of a question and more of a request for a history lesson. But I know you had mentioned that the fuels are not necessarily inclusive within the bio-preferred program, and maybe folks will think what perhaps could be more bio-based than biodiesel. But sort of the rationale behind that difference between sort of the biofuels and the bio-preferred products that we're discussing here today.
Sure. Well, certainly biodiesel has been an amazing success story for U.S. farmers, and continues to be a big driver of demand. But having worked in this space, I remember, historically, at the time the bio-preferred program was being created, there were already policy measures in place for biodiesel and renewable fuels. And so there were going to be some jurisdictional things that they just went ahead through the Farm Bill and created the bio-preferred program to focus specifically on all these additional uses. So it's nothing. In fact, USDA Rural Development does a lot of great things to promote biodiesel too, but the bio-preferred program just doesn't include the fuels.
So obviously both bio-preferred products and biofuels, such a critical demand picture for American soybean producers, and perhaps even more so with renewable diesel conversations, which is a whole other issue, and we'll cover that in other Agri-Pulse coverage. But Belinda, I want to bring you into the fold here, because when we talk about that demand picture, I understand that there is some upcoming United Soybean Board deadlines for requests that might improve that demand picture. What can you tell us about that?
I believe you're speaking of the RFPs that we're putting out for program developments, and our deadline is October 14th to have any kind of projects that you'd like to present to the soybean board. And then of course we would review them and turn them over to each of our action teams so that they can go over the programs and make choices of which direction that we want to go that works along with our strategic plan. So we're available here. Put in an application, we'll review it and see what we can come up with.
For those that are interested, Belinda, is there any particular agenda or kind of projects that USB is looking to fund through this RFP? Anything in particular that interested parties should know in terms of products or projects that you and your fellow board members are really looking at this year?
I don't know the exact ones because I'm on the communication and education, so I'm always looking for anything along that line. As far as the others go is health and human development, as far as animal ag and health and nutrition of humans and animals. And then the other is industrial uses, hylic oil uses, that kind of thing. So yeah, they can go to the unitedsoybean.org and check it out on exactly what we're looking for and kind of tweak on what they want to present to us.
Very good. Question submitted from Don Yoakum, wondering about user analyses from some of these fleet partners, Washington, D.C., Seattle, Madison, or a few that he mentions, wondering about the public availability. And I guess I'll just kind of broadly broaden that question out a little bit. What have you seen in terms of once you get a fleet customer online in terms of their willingness to perhaps be an advocate for bio-based products based on their experience with them? And I'd like to hear both from you, but I'll go to Belinda first.
Well, as far as it goes, we do auditing and analysis, and to make sure that each of the projects that we follow through on, it is something that's worthwhile, worthy for the farmer to invest their time and the crops into. So I think Karen could probably zero in on that a little better than I can.
Yeah, Karen, your thoughts on in terms of hard data analysis, but also kind of the more public relations advocacy that some of these fleets might exercise.
Well, probably I should mention that USB has a core of people with PhDs who are working with the companies on these projects, but during the R&D phase, and so. Some amazing, technical expertise is embedded into the way USB works with the companies to make sure that these are sound ideas before they ever start, partnering with them on the R&D side. But it's a great question about, the end users. And we have found just a wonderful core of fleet leaders, including those who are bio ambassadors and those who are we had fleets from across the nation volunteer some of their top team members to review that Bio Academy. So the fleets, for example, there's a really good kindred spirit, and they watch one another. And that's how Seattle heard about the success with the tires in New York, because they're following what one another are doing. And that's why it's so important that the products have to perform, because we all know that bad news travels faster than good. But the different, we have a team, my team, USB supports, we have some folks who retired, for example, from the National Park Service. So they have decades of experience. And so they help work with that specific fleet to evaluate in their equipment, because everybody's equipment is a little different. But the fleets have been really good about sharing and reporting out. The Park Service, this Badlands project, one of our team who retired from the Park Service, he introduced those products, and now the Park Service is developing their own monitoring and evaluation criteria for the products. And unfortunately, sometimes it takes years, to see whether that road held up. USB also paid for a lot of testing down at the national, at Auburn University. They have the Asphalt Research Center. And so USB has already invested in major studies on the test track down there at Auburn. So there is a lot of evaluation going on before the products go live.
Very good. Karen, I want to stick with you here because I know you mentioned sort of the genesis of this program being in that 2002 Farm Bill. As you and many other people following this webinar know, the Congress is looking at the 2023 Farm Bill, and I know we're not looking to do a whole lot of advocacy on this webinar in terms of lobbying, but more in terms of an awareness and anything in particular that folks should be watching for, particular titles, particular language within that 2023 Farm Bill that will be relevant as the bio-preferred program moves forward?
Well, the ASA folks handle the lobbying on that, but the bio-preferred program is in the Energy Title 9, and you will see that there's a lot of bio-based products, not just the ones that use soy, included in that. I remember when the 2012 Secretary Vilsack and then Senator Debbie Stabenow participated in USB. We had an educational event at Ford Motor Company, and they came and they actually made some soy polyol themselves. So it is, and thank you for this session today, because we just find that the awareness, it's really helpful to everyone if it grows. And I guess I would be remiss, think about everybody that's on this conversation today. Are you using these products in your own office or in your manufacturing? It is your fleet or your facilities, and in your home, because at the end of the day, we need people to be asking for these products.
Very good. Well, folks, we're coming up on the end of our time together here, but I do want to ask one last kind of summary question of the both of you, and Belinda, I'll go to you first, and Karen would be interested in your thoughts on this question as well. Wondering, as we wrap up our conversation here, we've got a lot of folks online, a lot of folks will watch this later. If there's one particular thing you wanted to impress upon an audience about the present and the future of these bio-based products, and what that could mean for the American soybean farmer, what's that one big thing that you'd like to impress upon folks? Belinda?
Main thing is that it's farmer supplied right here in the US. You don't have to leave to fill this order. And we are up to the challenge to fill any kind of sustainability, regenerative ad. The whole thing comes back to the American farmer. And if the American farmer is supported, we can support everyone else. So it also leads back to every life, every day. And it's like, yes, we want to be that supplier. Thank you. I appreciate that question.
Very good, Belinda. Karen, your thoughts?
I would say that we need leadership. The soybean farmers have been providing leadership, but we do need leadership on the demand pull. We need, when the companies invest in these products, they need to find a customer preference.
Very good. Well, I appreciate the thoughts from both of you here today. Karen and Belinda, thanks for taking time out of your day to speak with us and to inform our audience about these bio-based products, the bio-preferred program, and all of the things that go along with it. I certainly learned a lot, and I hope the rest of our audience did as well. But as we do wrap up here, again, would like to thank both of you for joining us. Would like to thank our audience for their inputs and submitting the questions that they did. Would also like to thank the United Soybean Board, the Soy Checkoff, and the American Soybean Association for their support of this particular webinar. Would just like to offer a friendly reminder in the event that you maybe missed part of this webinar, joined late, had to leave early, what have you. Maybe you'd like to recommend it to a friend or a colleague. We will be posting a full recording of this webinar in the video section of Agri-Pulse.com, and you can expect to see that very, very soon. And so we appreciate everybody keeping an eye on this webinar. We'll also be shooting out an email when the full recording is available. But for now, I think we're going to call it a day on this conversation. Thanks again for joining us, and have a great day.